Hello and welcome to another episode. Today I'll be showing you how to grill some oyster mushrooms. Over here I have about 3 pounds of oyster mushrooms. If you're one of the lucky few that can find oyster mushrooms, you're in luck. Let's set these aside for now while we'll make our marinade. To save some time, I went ahead and prepped some of the vegetables, but I left the fennel out because not many people know what a fennel is, not to talk of how to prep a fennel. This beautiful looking thing right here is a fennel. We only need the bulb today, so we're going to separate the stalk from the bulb. Whatever you do, don't throw the stalk away. There's so many recipes out there you can make with the stalk. Set it aside for now. This right here is the bulb. It has a really strong anise flavor and it will taste really good in our marinade. Using a knife, split your fennel bulb in half. We're going to be grilling one half, so put it to the side for now. We'll be using the second half for our marinade, so let's break it down into smaller pieces. These will eventually be blended, so it's best to cut them into smaller pieces. We're also going to be adding some fresh herbs to our marinade today. I really could use a new blender. Anyway, the first ingredient for our marinade is a quarter or half a bulb of an onion. The next ingredients going into the blender are some red and green bell peppers. You could use whole red and green bell peppers if you wish. Next, add your fennel bulb pieces. You could also use an entire fennel bulb for more flavor. If you want your guests to build a tent in your backyard and never go home again, then add 1 thumb-sized ginger and 1 habanero pepper. Add a 1/4 cup of grapeseed oil. Now we're going to blend it all together. Now let's talk about dry herbs and spices. Right in front of me I have some sea salt, followed by some coriander powder, followed by some dried thyme, followed by some onion powder, then some mushroom powder, and some cayenne pepper. Add some sea salt to the blender, then go ahead and add about 4 or more tablespoons of coriander powder to the blender. Next, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of dried thyme, followed by 2 to 3 tablespoons of onion powder. This feels wrong, but go ahead and add 2 to 3 tablespoons of mushroom powder. For more heat, add 1 or more tablespoons of cayenne pepper. Let's talk about the fresh herbs I displayed earlier. Right here, I have a few sprigs of fresh oregano. You could also use dried oregano. We only need a handful of the leaves. Over here, I have some not so fresh looking fresh basil. They started going bad and this is all I could salvage. You could also use some dried basil, but it won't be the same. For more flavor, add everything including the stalk. Over here, I have some not so fresh looking fresh sage. Don't ask me why. It's the same story as my not so fresh looking fresh basil. Anyway, go ahead and add them to your blender. Finally, we're going to add the juice of half or 1 key lime depending on how you like it. Then we'll give it a blend. It's time to give these beauties a long overdue spa treatment. Today I'm using about 3 pounds of fresh oyster mushrooms. You could also use portobello, lion's mane, or any other fresh mushrooms you can find in your city. This is what the marinade looks like. If you add some pimento berries to this marinade, it'll take it to a whole other level. But alkaline vegans are not about that life. Feel free to add some pimento berries if you're vegan. Anyway, go ahead and pour your marinade over your oyster mushrooms, and when we get back, we'll talk about the next step. Using your hands, gently rub the marinade over every surface of your mushroom. Try not to rush this and be gentle, otherwise you end up breaking your mushrooms apart. You also want to make sure you're getting some marinade between the mushroom petals. Trust me, this is the hardest part of this recipe, and it won't take too long, but in the end, you'll be licking your fingers. Again, don't forget to rub the marinade between the petals. Believe me, this is gonna be one of the most delicious oyster mushroom recipes you've ever come across. When you're done, it should look something like this. Let's set this aside for now and work on the fennel. Here's one half of the fennel bulb we split from earlier in this video. We're going to marinate it just like we did the oyster mushrooms. Rub your marinade over every surface of your fennel, including between every layer. You need to be careful when going between the layers as you could break them apart. You can marinate as many as you wish, just split them in half. When you're done, set them aside. For the best results, cover them, place them in the fridge, and let them marinate for 12 to 24 hours. Let's go outside and let me show you what Grubanny is all about. Spark up your grill and let it get really hot. Clean the grates with a wire brush. Apply a generous layer of grapeseed oil to the grates to stop the mushrooms from sticking to them. Bring your heat down to about 400 to 420 degrees Fahrenheit. Place your mushrooms petal side down over the grates. Next, place your fennel face side down. We're looking to char this. Finally, spread the leftover marinade over your mushrooms, close the lid, and let them cook at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 to 15 minutes. Welcome back. Now check this out. That was lit, literally. After 10 to 15 minutes at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, covered, go ahead and flip all of your mushrooms over. Also flip your fennel. Close the lid again and let them cook for another 10 to 15 minutes at 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Check this out. The fennel is nicely charred, and that's what we're looking for. It's time to baste everything with my awesome alkaline sauce. Right here, I have equal parts of date syrup and coconut aminos, and we're going to be using a silicone baking brush to baste our fennel and mushrooms. If you're alkaline vegan, you can skip the coconut aminos because you're not supposed to heat coconut products. However, if you're not worried about that, you're in for a good time. At this point, everything should be ready. Just look at how fat and juicy this mushroom is. I love the charred tips. If you don't like the charred tips, you can cook it for a shorter period at a lower heat setting. Here you go. So I use my grill all the time, and I know the outside was a mess, but the inside is actually what I care about, and that's what produced this masterpiece. If I offended any grill aficionados out there, I am so sorry. Let's cut into this and see what it looks like. So I can tell you from the get-go, it's soft and juicy, and if it had bones, it'll be falling off the bones. Let me show you this one more time so you can stop licking the screen and subscribe to my channel. Don't worry, this will be included in my cookbook and maybe you can eat the page as well. Just kidding. Let's see what the fennel looks like. As you can see, it's properly charred on the outside and very juicy on the inside. Whatever you do, don't leave the fennel out of this recipe, and I promise you, you will be shocked. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and don't forget to hit the like button. I'll see you all next week.